going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. This is the state of wrestling, and that is Jake fucking DeMarco. What's going on, buddy?
Holy crap, we finally made it. Here we are, the state of wrestling, making its 2-hour debut, and we're going ahead and cranking them out. What a week, and it's only becoming more and more active as we continue. I mean, not that you care much about All Out coming up, but still, you know. It's
I was going to say, there's nothing this weekend to talk
shows.
about anyway.
No. But then again,
we're going to
do
prove
have
how
Bad
not
Blood
dramatic
coming
we are
up.
by burning down the wrong house.
NXT has quite a bit, coming up as well with their CW moves. So, I mean, there is quite a bit to look forward to. Bad Blood is going to be fantastical.
Yeah. As a spoiler, I'm just going to say it right off the bat because, some people might feel like tuning out because we're going to get repetitive here. This is mostly going to be an NXT episode, guys, because we're coming off a great weekend that just kind of had Bash in Berlin in the middle. We're not going to touch that much on Bash in Berlin because as good as it was also really predictable. And yes, we thought that was going to happen. And yes, we thought that was going to happen. Oh, look, it happened.
And it happened.
But
exactly as we predicted, too.
Well, yeah. And
the only
again,
thing that we were questioning was the women's tag title match. Everything
I
else,
wasn't questioning that. The world sucks.
The world, yeah. Well, we weren't sure with Isla Dawn, and all she went through with Tessa Blanchard. Has that, earned her enough stripes to maybe continue her title reign, but I guess not. I know we're going to touch on NXT, but did you see anybody come out and respond to her this week? I couldn't help but just chuckle because... I
don't think I know what you're talking about, actually.
Oh, okay, so even better. So Tessa Blanchard, back in 2020, she had posted something on Twitter. She was like, yeah, women need to take care of each other, respect each other. Us girls need to work together kind of thing. And
and then everybody came out talking about how shitty she was. And...
Yeah, everybody just came out and just was like, you're telling us to do this, but yet
you've done this and this and this.
Isla Dawn was blacklisted from companies because of her. And Chelsea Green was just humiliated and ostracized and bullied, and just all this terrible stuff. And you're like, yeah, be better, right? It's funny how people go ahead and say that at times, but
yeah,
it only got more interesting from there. So,
which is super unfortunate because the little bit of Tessa Blanchard that I have seen is when
she's excellent. Tully
in
Blanchard's
the ring, yeah.
daughter should be excellent. That's your birthright.
Yeah, no, but what I was going to say is my reference for her specifically is I only ever saw her in Impact when I was sort of dipping in and out of Impact when they were sort of. Breaking the ceiling is the expression, but she was the one that they said, let's make her the actual world champion.
Yeah, they pushed her, and she was going to be their top star, and then she came into the women's stuff for NXT for a little bit, and it looked like
I'm
the
not
world
gonna lie,
was her oyster.
I'm not going to lie, bullshit aside, there's a couple really good matches if WWE wants to look the other way.
Thing. So then she got called out for some private stuff, which is funny, yes, but she was going and cracking down on other people. So somebody released the audio she was selling of her defecating. So I don't quite know why, but she was selling audio of her on the toilet. That apparently was a very big spender. And people bought that right up before the OnlyFans craze she missed out on, but she could have made some serious money.
And you know what
Jim
sucks
Cornette
though?
Played the audio on his podcast.
Oh no!
So,
you know what sucks though? As much as we can hear that story and be like, that's kind of fucking cringe, whatever. Anybody else, regardless of the activity, if it wasn't already decided in the social sphere that she was the bad guy, they'd be rallying behind her.
How dare you go ahead and condemn a sex worker, and how dare...
Or not even that, just how dare you release it and stuff like that. So it's not that there's not a whole lot of other things like that happening right now. We've decided that you're the bad guy.
So you nailed exactly how I felt back then.
Yeah, we've decided that you're the bad guy, so anything that happens to you now is okay.
Joe is kind of in the mindset of other people like, haha, you deserve it. And I was like, well, not really. See, I feel like, if it was in the professional world where she got blacklisted and all that, but I don't think that deserved to come out. But it did, and she had to deal with it. So back to my original point, today she released a little bit of audio and from an interview, because she's still wrestling in CMLL, of course.
Right.
And there's a bit of crossover, but she's not working with anyone in AEW, and that's with good reason.
Right.
But rather than say I did wrong or I'm sorry, I should apologize, anything, she just continued to she didn't really double down either. She just Didn't do either. She didn't say, I'm sorry, and she also didn't say, like, oh, those girls are liars, and that never happened. Mm-hmm. So because no one got any type of closure, you know, it still felt wrong for people to try and, like, bring her back and celebrate her. Like, if you did this, apologize, work from it, don't do it again, you know? Yep. Like, crap happens, everybody gets, you know, better chances. But that's not what she did. She instead just continues to talk about how I would never change anything in my career. I would have done everything the same way because maybe I would have had a worse ego. All the, you know, dips and valleys made me the person I am today. And that's all well and good. But here's the thing. You don't say, you know what I mean? Like, either way. So Chelsea Green called her out and said, hey, you still say sorry, so you don't want to hear it, basically, was her, you know, 2 cents. And I just found it interesting, though. But like you said,
I would be all for her being held accountable for her actions if we didn't pick and choose who gets held accountable by their actions by who we like.
Exactly, and she deserved it.
I'm sorry, and I'm going to say it because everybody knows that this is going to be my example anyway. If those accusations came out about Mercedes Moné, they would never see the light of day.
Probably not. And the thing is had she...
So I'm all for consequences,
treated
but
other
like,
female
let's make
wrestlers the same way, you know, maybe we would see the same thing, but... Instead, that's not what we're getting. So
remember when the speaking out thing first was like wrestling had its own.
That was kind of like at the same time. So
wrestling had its own Me Too, and like every company did a house cleaning.
Thankfully, I mean it kind of was needed.
But here's the thing: everybody did a house cleaning except for Velveteen Dream for a while.
I know,
people ran to the defense of, oh, you're just singling him out because of this, and this. Like, no, we're singling him out because because the kid that he was harassing has shown the proof and been on the news and said, here's this and here's this and here's this. I don't believe anything. It makes me really popular in political conversations and conversations about Vince McMahon. I don't believe any he said, she said. No. He said, she said can fuck off. No, he said, she said can fuck off. I believe what you show me in front of me.
Exactly. That's why the Janelle Grant stuff is dangerous, because what if it's not true? It could be. Vince never said it wasn't. But
it won't matter. It will not matter, because if the same exact allegations came out against like a Tony Khan or even a Scott D'Amore or I don't know
Henry Cavill, you know, somebody that's beloved.
Something like that, it wouldn't matter because what you think of the person based on those accusations is entirely based on what you thought of them before you ever heard those allegations. Well, we need Vince out, so even if it's not true, it's getting us to the right result. Like that's the majority of the world. So I'm sure Tessa Blanchard did some terrible shit at some point or treated people badly, and I'm sure there's not a whole bunch of that in wrestling anyway. But people wanted her out because they saw. Even though it was in the third company, like
it was a chance to cut her off at the knees. Yeah, certainly.
Well, yeah, no, but she was breaking the barrier. Like
that's what I'm talking about. She was a target.
I'm talking in cliches, but here's the woman in this company, the company who's known for their women's division, the company who's known for their crossover. Like we don't have any problem doing intergender wrestling. And we're going to make a woman our main world champion, and they saw her being picked for that. I'm sorry. If you tell me there was nobody in the back that saw that and said, we got to get rid of her, you're lying. I'm not saying that the people that accused her didn't have something happen to them, but there's somebody in the back that thought,
benefited.
If she wasn't there, maybe it would be me. Like, that's all you need. And you know what? Tony Khan probably thinks, hey, if I could just get rid of Vince McMahon, I could succeed. But guess what? You got rid of Vince McMahon. You called him the Epstein of wrestling, and the guy that came in after him is kicking your ass twice as much. The first friggin' live episodes of NXT, I'm going to bring this back onto the tracks eventually. The first couple of episodes of live on the road NXT are outselling Dynamite 2 and 3 to 1.
Well, look at the PLE. That's doing what All Out is doing, and then some. You know, like just no mercy off a 5-match card that wasn't announced when tickets were sold.
Yep.
So I don't know.
I will. Okay, to be fair, it is a different fan base. WWE is a brand that sells itself on the brand first and the matches second. People have said that. There is some legitimacy to that statement. They didn't want to have another Hogan or another Cena. They wanted you to buy WWE.
But that's changing.
It is, yeah. But I think because it's changing and the change is coming from WWE, now that they're not trying for it, people are clinging to those initials, rightfully so, more so. I don't think there's any one person that's saying, I'm not going to get a ticket to WrestleMania until I see what Cody Rhodes is doing. Like, if you're going to WrestleMania, you're going to WrestleMania. It is what it is.
I mean, there were a few people that were standouts, but that's a few and far between.
I mean, as a general crowd movement.
Exactly.
But yeah.
WWE was never about, hey, we're going to have you, here's the card, let's do this. But they are changing, and Triple H wants to change that because of booking standards and how things are held. I mean, that's part of the draw now. That was SummerSlam. I mean, that was booked on Solo and Cody and Drew and Punk, and we're starting to see the change.
I know people like Cody, and I've sort of come around on Cody. We've talked about it a bunch. Do you think that there are people that went to SummerSlam that wouldn't have gone to SummerSlam if Cody and Solo was on the card?
Possibly, yeah.
A couple, yeah. But there was a lot on that card.
There was a lot, but I think there was also a good amount of people that wouldn't have gone if Punk and Drew weren't on it.
Okay, so, now you're getting into the combination of people. Like, if you go to one... Punk's
the main draw in my eyes right now. I feel like he draws a bit over Cody by what we've seen.
He's the main character of Raw. Cody's the main character of SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean you could call them equals, but Roman's there too.
Along with Roman and I would say Rhea Ripley.
Yes.
Now that's not to dig at anybody else. We don't need to put all the caviats on it, whatever.
Yeah,
but
no. You didn't mention Damian Priest, and shit like that, and it's like.
Sorry, I like Damian Priest, but.
Damian Priest
he's the Jannetty of the Terror Twins. I'm sorry, but he is.
He is, but they also, him and Swerve feel like they're in the same league right now, except that's their main... That was their...
can fuck off. I like Swerve, and Swerve can fuck off.
That would be an interesting thing to do that tit for tat, you and I, one day between Damian and Swerve, because they both just lost their title. They both were champions for about the same amount of time.
Yep.
And they both had similar title reigns for who they faced and why they faced, so...
Yeah,
I think that could be something if you do tit for tat with that at some point. But yeah, like you said, when they went back on the road, NXT immediately they outsold everything, and that has to speak volumes. Oh, was it WWE audience? Well, no, not entirely. NXT is its own thing.
But here's the thing, though, and here's where you get into an interesting. We're not going to touch on NXT for a while. I got into this conversation. I can't remember who it was. If you were talking to me on X about this earlier, and you can hear my voice now. I can't remember your screen name. I'm sorry. But the whole idea of...
How dare you?
Yeah, but it's the whole idea of, well, they've never done this on the road weekly show thing, so of course you're going to get all these extra curiosity things because people have never had it before.
But okay, it has. NXT has been out on the road before. I mean, they have in their own right.
For the weekly show?
They have had a couple of the weekly shows out there.
They've had a couple sporadic... We've done this small building instead of Full Sail back in the Black and Gold days. I wouldn't say they've gone to...
And takeovers, we're kind of...
Takeovers, yeah. Okay, but I'm specifically talking about the weekly show.
Yeah, but at the point in time, that was like their version of touring NXT, because they did house shows and takeovers.
It was, but they even with house shows, they did kind of like the Florida loop. But I'm talking about, to give credit to this person whose name I can't remember, they've never taken the weekly show to an arena. That's a first-time thing, right? And
yeah, no doubt about it. You're on the money there.
But the argument was like, oh well, this is nobody's ever really had the chance to see this before. Like they've never had it come to their neck of the woods before. There's going to be a big sense of curiosity. Of course, the first show is going to do well. And I'm like, okay, cool. Where was that argument at the first Wembley All Out?
Yeah,
they're not the same. I should caveat, they are absolutely not the same, but where the hell was that admission? Well, yeah, they've never taken their company outside of I keep wanting to say the U.S., out of North America before, and they're doing it in one of the most famous buildings in the world. Of course they're going to get a curiosity vote. And I'm saying, as an NXT person, of course NXT in Chicago is going to get a curiosity vote. It's going to be really, really cool.
But you saw the difference between the 2 years as well, because the first year was a happening, this year was a follow-up, and they did half of almost what they did. Yep. That's
48 and change?
Yeah.
Never mind what Tony tries to tell you?
What, 80? Well, they said 81 originally, but what was it truly, like 77 or something?
Yep. And then they tried to say that 70 was more than 90.
Yeah.
Because, WrestleMania and such. Anyways, but I think we're going to steer this sort of back on track because we're doing a combination NXT, TNA amalgam of different things. We're in a very cool place right now with both companies. Obviously, I mean, they've got some more Friday pay-per-views before we get there, but ultimately TNA is on their way to Bound for Glory, which is awesome.
Yeah.
NXT is in kind of a weird place right now because they're promoting their contribution to WWE Week on USA this coming week, which we're going to talk about. But then they moved to CW and this first live show in Chicago, which we're going to talk about. And then they've got to look past that to Halloween Havoc, which is on the same weekend as Bound for Glory. Going to call it Bound for Havoc. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But I think their focus is more divided than TNA's is, but also TNA has to be very, very different with their television because they pre-tape stuff and that
they go
gives
2
away
weeks at
stuff.
a time post.
I do commend them though because
pay-per-views.
Because with all the integration, and we're going to talk a lot about the integration between NXT and TNA, with the fact that they tape their shows 2 or 3 weeks in advance and NXT is doing them in real time, they've done a pretty good job to keep the continuity up. The only thing that I would say was during Emergence, there's a specific thing with Zachary Wentz where they gave us a little bit of a spoiler on one thing, but other than that, I would.
What was that? Maybe I missed it.
Oh, it was just the fact that when he won the title, and then later on they put up the graphic.
That he would bring the title with him. Yeah.
He put up the graphic that this coming Thursday we're gonna have Wentz's championship celebration, which is tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight as we're recording, but it meant that there was no way he was going into Sunday and losing his title.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was a little bit of a spoiler, but not really.
Or they weren't going to put it on the line.
Or something like that. Like if anybody was fantasy booking, like we did, what an NXT star could do with the X Division Championship, it wasn't going to happen. At least not that night.
Especially since he retained. Should they have done that? I wonder.
Yeah. Well, they had already said that he's going to be the champion on Thursday, so there would have been no gravitas to the title.
No, true.
That
maybe if they held
spoiler,
off
right?
of that, but I guess if they didn't do that.
But I mean, NXT does the same thing. Like NXT during
they could say, hey, we were gonna have him be celebrated, but we didn't know he was gonna defend the title, so we're not having the celebration. They could just say that on Twitter. I mean, there's a million ways to explain it quickly.
the thing is though, that Thursday show was taped on the Saturday. The results of that would have been spoiled.
I know. But if you didn't read the spoilers and you're just watching the TV,
there's no
great way
I
to do it.
I don't begrudge them that because
they were stuck from a Sunday to Saturday kind of. They were doing the show on Sunday and the tapings were Saturday, so they were screwed already. But
yeah, and I mean, the way they stack their shows probably makes it a lot easier for the people that are coming to NXT to come to NXT. Let's be real for a second.
Oh, certainly. And I think if they just had a chance to really go back and watch,
you
know what I mean? Like they could. I think they could have handled stuff like that. But I mean, it's just like you said, it's not the biggest deal in the world. And then since you didn't put the title up, you were like, all right, cool.
But sorry, my screen's just gone funny for a second here. I'm not going to talk about everything on Emergence because, as we said in the preview, it was kind of a beast. There was good matches on there.
There was excellent matches, and then there was some not so great. So I'm not a PCO fan, so that's always
the PCO. Okay,
and then he got injured as well. It seemed like so.
You didn't. Hold on. There we go. My computer's doing stupid things. When they
goddamn toaster.
Yeah, because they're doing this stuff right now where there's all this crossover, and you can't infuse the crossover into every single match, which is the temptation right now. But when they said, there's going to be a magic mystery opponent chosen by Matt Cardona for PCO, you do start thinking of okay, who's coming over from WWE?
It really
or
felt
NXT.
That way.
I was thinking something just stupid and fun, like PCO versus Ivar.
Yeah, something.
Or something along those lines. And then it was just Shira. And it's nothing against Shira, but we've speculated way more than what we got. And the Cardona stuff is fine going forward.
Yeah,
apparently
they teased us.
Apparently Steph DeLander has actually signed a deal to finish out the year with TNA as well, so good for her. I'm going to touch on some of the and honorable mention obviously goes to Kushida and Kazarian had a cool match. Macklin and Eric Young had a good match as well. I've had a chance to see Macklin up close and personal quite a bit. The fact that they ended it on a handshake that Eric Young gave him sort of not a passing of the torch, but
but in a way of
nod of approval.
Yeah.
But also Macklin in the back, even when he was cutting a heel promo, nobody gets my respect, but Eric Young, I guess he gets my respect type of thing. So the first thing that sort of leans us into all the combination talk that we're going to talk about. It was kind of a nothing fun match. You had Team Jordan Grace versus Team Ash by Elegance, which was Jordan Grace.
Nothing burger as well, yeah.
It was a nothing burger, but it was fun.
It was fun.
It was a nice for a B show with no titles on the line to have all your champions in there in exhibition. Like it serves a purpose.
And she has improved exponentially since WWE.
Who's that? Oh, Ash by Elegance?
Yeah.
She was vastly underrated when she was there, though, to be fair.
She was. She certainly had the reputation that she didn't deserve, and she was kind of booked as a under wrestler. But then again, like when she went up against Rousey and wanted to be a household name, and it wasn't a great promo.
But that was never going to happen because they put her in there with Ronda Rousey. And,
exactly. But you saw a bit of promise then, and it was like, oh, is it too late? Is it,
Yeah.
That was kind of.
But at the same time, she always had that. You always heard it from everybody that, like, okay, yeah, she's not at the top of the card, but she's the first one in, she's the last one out, and she's always asking everybody how she can improve, and she's even working with the ring crew to like know that side of the business. And it's like, I just want to see her do
trying.
Good. And I'm biased because she's managed by George Iceman now, and I like George Iceman. He's fucking great.
Yeah. He's very entertaining, and that's the thing. Like the package just works. It's fun. It's enjoyable.
The fucking funny thing is only because I've had the chance to know him because of his time at Destiny when he was running the place. He gave me free tickets occasionally, which is fine. I am not going to say no to a free. It was held in the Don Kolov. It was held in the home of Destiny, but it was actually Impact Wrestling doing a retro show. So they all came out like 80s wrestlers, and like Josh Alexander was a lumberjack and all this nonsense. But it was great. And it was in the Don Kolov, and it was a lot of fun. Anyways, so I like George Iceman. Nicest dude in the world to talk to. So you see him go out there be an asshole. It's fucking great.
It's funny, yeah.
I will say, Jordan Grace is the superstar of this whole thing, right? But I think it's kind of cool that she wasn't the one that got the pin. Because you gave it to Jody Threat, and she pinned, I think it was Alicia Edwards, who I was really not that nice about in our last podcast.
No.
But it means that Spitfire are going to get another tag team title shot somewhere down the line. I'm sure Jordan Grace doesn't lose anything by letting somebody else get the pin.
And Edwards is out of there, right?
Edwards?
I thought I heard something about her not coming back at TNA. Maybe I might be crazy, but...
Oh, well, I found out finally. I'm a gigantic asshole, by the way, because I've been complaining for a while about like Masha Slamovich and Alicia Edwards is kind of a knockoff of when it was Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly when they were MK Ultra, because I thought they worked way better as a tag team, and I've been on every pod I've been like, oh, where the fuck is Killer Kelly? This is fucking real. Turns out she's having a kid, so I'm a dick, and that's about the end of that. So I hope that when she comes back, when she's ready to come back after her family has grown and all that type of thing, I hope they put that team back together because they're a really good team and I really enjoy them. And once again, I've met Killer Kelly and she's a fucking sweetheart. I want to see her on my TV some more.
And Alicia Edwards was the one that was knocked out cold in that match. I totally forgot. She got knocked out unconscious in that match, and they kind of
That's right, because Jordan Grace went online immediately and
she was out entirely.
Yeah, Jordan Grace
yelled out, "She's dead!" And I just couldn't help it. Like, just continue to laugh.
Grace put a big thing about like our brothers and sisters in wrestling. Alicia Edwards in real life is this absolutely amazing person, and we wish her nothing but the best. Thanks for everybody's respect and all that kind of like very, very locker room leader type stuff from Jordan Grace. Really, really cool to see.
Yeah, I know there was a female they just let go of too. I'm trying to find out.
Oh, Giselle Shaw.
Giselle Shaw, yep, right here.
Giselle Shaw, yeah.
Okay, that's who it was.
I heard about that through the grapevine. I don't know what the deal is there because she just came back.
That's why I was kind of confused. So
I don't know what the story is. I don't want to sit here and pretend that I do. I remember she was the quintessential diva, and then when she came back, she wanted to like sort of shed the diva name, so she became the quintessential knockout.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool because it kind of goes with Impact going back to
which is
being
fine,
TNA again. And like it is what it is. Giselle Shaw gets a lot of shit from a lot of people for the same reason Nyla Rose gets shit from a lot of people, and I don't really want to go down that road. She seems pretty cool.
Certainly not.
But yeah, no, it's just the open door for me to say that, Team Grace won. Jordan Grace popped up on NXT the other night and said on the I keep wanting to say debut. It's not the debut. It's the WWE week on USA.
Yeah, I keep thinking it's a debut as well.
Yeah.
I keep doing that
It feels like they're doing
I'm
two
like,
debuts in a row. Like they're a big part of this
Yeah,
USA week thing, and
then
then
they're doing the CW
and then
debut.
3 weeks they leave for CW. So it's I think it's I think they said all the shows Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. They're all on USA for a week. They're all going either commercial free or reduced commercial and whatever.
Yeah, limited commercial breaks and that
Jordan
kind of
Grace
stuff,
says she wants to make history. She's been doing like her whole title reign has been like open challenges pretty much, which is a really cool way to do it because she's a monster,
especially as the main champion.
But yeah, so apparently she's going to come and do an open challenge on next week's NXT. I'm kind of surprised they didn't save this for the CW Live Chicago show.
I'm surprised as well, unless they're going to set up something
going to lead
there.
to something, yeah.
That's my kind of wonder. I was going to ask you that. So we still have Stephanie Vacour in the wings. Like, we don't know what's up with her yet, and there's quite a bit coming up, you know? Like, so...
But see, here's the thing. Like, if you debuted Stephanie Vacour in the open challenge, then somebody has to lose, and then it becomes a really political thing at that point, who wins, who loses. I don't know who I want to answer. Do I want it to be just somebody so that Jordan Grace gets to have a cool exhibition match on NXT, say she defended her title, and check that off the bucket list, it's fine, and then we do like a bigger one at the CW show? Or do I want somebody to come out this Tuesday and be like, oh, no, this is the shock moment. Yeah.
Yeah, the challenge is like a Chelsea Green, and then they do that again, you know. Not to make a repeat of last week. That's just the only name I could think of on the fly.
I thought it was kind of cool. Like, Chelsea Green gets a lot more love on NXT than she does on the main roster. We're going to get to that as well, but yeah.
Yeah. We'll get to there
well,
eventually,
and the thing that
talked about Giulia, but...
And they played it up on social media quite a bit. She has the history with Robert Stone as well. So every time she goes to NXT, you get some backstage stuff with them. You saw her posing in the back with, who was it, Wendy Chu and Rosemary, and I'm like, if they're a trio, that's one of these things is not like the other. But
no, but
she's a hot
mess. They could always find something to do with her that's interesting.
What would be interesting, and it would probably go to a no contest or something like that, or Grace would get her win back or whatever. The whole NXT TNA crossover thing started with Jordan Grace coming to NXT for Roxanne Perez's NXT championship, right?
Yes.
Does she return the favor and try to go the other way?
That's kind of my wonder there. And on top of it, I mean, that you know, like you said, the Stephanie Vacour, Jordan Grace, who wins thing. I mean, that's basically what we're heading into with Giulia and Roxanne now. I mean, that's what we're going into.
From all accounts, it pretty much looks like Giulia's getting the rocket strap from Jump.
Seems that way, but I don't think she's winning it right away. I think they're gonna maybe have the match, and then something happens, and they're gonna have the next match at the either Halloween Havoc, or I think they're going to build, again, something else. Yeah. I think we're going to get something, some type of screw finish to be like, oh, we need to build this to this kind of idea.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, we are going to talk about the Perez thing from No Mercy in a second or two. It kind of makes me wonder, like, what's a bigger deal for them right now as far as, like, coming out with all guns blazing and whatever. I said it to you, I think I said this to you in the last pod. This past weekend was like, okay, they had their major No Mercy show. TNA was kind of having a minor show. The next time they're on the same weekend, it's basically TNA's WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So
they're Bound for Glory and Halloween Havoc combined.
Yeah. So, but what I'm thinking is, like, can NXT afford to be the smaller show and have the interaction happen on Bound for Glory, whatever the interaction is, and put all their eggs in the basket for the CW debut, because that's the thing that's going to matter long term.
Yeah. That's a great question.
But, no, I think it'd be, like, if you get somebody random, like, if Jordan Grace comes out there and it gets answered by, like, Thea Hale or something like that, that could just be really fun. Like I say, I don't want to just think about wrestling as far as, like, ticking boxes, but if you just want to say, hey, we had a TNA title defended on our show, and Jordan
especially
Grace...
while Chase U's in disarray, she can come out.
Well, that too, freaking Jordan Grace can take out Rich Holland at this point, but
that's
another story for another day. But no, somebody fun like that, or even, I don't know, one of the what are they called now? The Fatal Influence one of those. Oh, because they're trying to be locker room leaders because of like the 3 or 4 years that they've been there. Maybe they want to like defend their locker room against an intruder like Jordynne Grace. Fucking JC Jane getting her ass handed to her by Jordynne Grace would be hysterical.
Right.
Set up a match with Fallon Henley later on down the line, because that's a match I would really actually like to see. It's cool either way. We had speculated about the X Division title and what could have happened at No Mercy and whatever, but this is where we get it. This is the first I'm going to defend my title on your show thing that they're doing. So it'll be good. And I kind of like, because we don't know how big they want this show to be, how big they want the CW show to be, and how big they want Halloween Havoc to be, it's all over the map for who can answer this.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's been push backstage for there to be eventually a match between Jordynne Grace and Natalya. It's not at the top of my list, but it wouldn't be a bad match.
No, certainly not.
If Jordynne Grace was interacting more with the main roster, I'd say do her and Rhea Ripley, because that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big draw of it all, but...
Somebody's going to say Bianca Belair, and I'm going to ask, how does it feel to be wrong? Moving on, the only thing that I have on here that's strictly just Emergence, what do we want to say about Nick Nemeth, Josh Alexander in the Iron Man?
They had a great match, great back and forth. Nick Nemeth wrestling like this, goddamn, is impressive. I wish he was more like this as a Dolph Ziggler. Yeah. Here's the thing. Everybody has that one, right? The one that gives them the ick, whatever you want to call it. JBL is that one for me. I have never liked him ever. I have always hated the man, the character, the being, like all of it just always, not because it was like, oh, the heel heat worked. Like that wasn't, it was just him himself. Like I found him, the bullying, the bullshit back, like all of it was just fucking constantly repulsive. And it just was like I couldn't separate the art and the artist with
That's
how
fair.
just. And I'm being honest about it. Like I've always had that disdain for him because he continually just, if he wasn't injuring somebody because he thought it was funny, then he was bullying more behind the scenes. And it's just like, all right, is it?
All you need to look into really is the Blue Meanie story.
Yeah, certainly.
Like from back in the day. Like we don't need to dig into that. But
No.
I get it.
That's on everybody's top 10 list. But
I'm not out here to say JBL's any kind of good guy.
But he is divisive, and that is going to draw them some conversation.
It's going to draw them some conversation, but also, I'm sorry, I'm a shithead. There is a little bit of me that, like, I see something, and I'm like, oh, people are going to go off.
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm seeing. So
there is that section of wrestling where something happens. Oh, what's another really good example? Like, the show wasn't good. Me watching the event on television wasn't the good part. The good part was just me reaching for my phone and pulling out Twitter.
Yeah, you knew instantly.
Daniel Bryan, 18 seconds.
Yeah, one of those moments.
The SmackDown debut where Brock Lesnar rightfully beat Kofi Kingston. Fight me, you'll be arguing with a wall.
I mean, they maybe we shouldn't have him lose in 6 seconds, but yeah, Brock should have.
No, that was the best part. That
was the best part.
Like, let me remind you what you are and what I.
Exactly. You ever want to see the discrepancy?
People are going to take that entirely the wrong way, aren't they?
Probably.
People are going to take that entirely. No, like, I'm sorry. It's like the Nia Jax argument from a couple weeks ago. Oh, your celebration got cut. I'm sorry that you're not a bigger star than Cody Rhodes and a returning Roman Reigns.
Exactly.
Eat shit.
Know your
with
place.
A spoon. and
a
okay.
spoon costs extra.
Oh my, ew. Spooning. Anyways, and and again, it's one of those, like, I'm not dunking on Nia as much as I hate to admit it. She's kind of bringing me around. I still don't. I would still prefer to see anybody else.
Yeah.
But when it is her, it's like, okay, fine. She's gonna do the queen thing, and it's gonna ruin Tiffany Stratton because she's gonna have to play princess to the queen. But we are apparently we're getting a Tiffany Stratton Bayley feud in the meantime. So I will take that. Kind of a side note. Now that I just mentioned,
take that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'll take a side note for a second. Remember when we thought that the be all and end all of WWE was the Four Horsewomen, and everybody else was like the second tier. It was like the Four Horsewomen and the rest of the roster.
Yeah, exactly.
WWE's at its peak right now, right? You would say, like, or reaching its peak, or just deciding where the peak is going to be, right?
Yeah, certainly.
There's only one of the Four
They're
Horsewomen.
on a hot streak for a reason.
There's only one of the Four Horsewomen actively on the roster right now. And Bayley's not on TV that much.
No.
Do you notice it? Like, I'm going to be happy if Becky comes back and resigns. I'm going to be happy when Charlotte comes back from injury or whatever she's been doing. Like, I'll be happy to have them back on my TV screen. But we're not missing them.
No, we're
You know what I
certainly
mean?
not. Like, it's not a
Somebody
needed
put a graphic
commodity.
Somebody put a
Like
graphic up the
before,
other day
without
of, like,
Rousey and without Charlotte and Becky, it felt like, oh, we're missing something here. Like, something's wrong.
Yeah. Somebody put a graphic up the other day of, like, how many women are missing from the roster, and it was like, oh, but do you even notice them? And it's like, and I mean, yeah, there's, like, Charlotte and Becky, but also you got Raquel on there, you got Dakota Kai, again, you've got Shotzi.
Yeah, no doubt.
You've got all these, here's your off season. They're going to come back soon. It's going to be stacked. And then you've got Giulia and Stephanie Vacour and Delta and might as well be Jordan Grace at this point and Rosemary and all these types of things. I knew we were going to get on the JBL thing. I just want to say, like, as much as I'm bigging up WWE right now, big missed opportunity with Dolph Ziggler / Nick Nemeth, and he proved it at Emergence with Alexander. I mean, I'm biased towards Alexander anyway for obvious reasons. Check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list. It's fine. But
it certainly felt missing, yeah.
Nemeth is so, like, and he's got, I think the one thing that he couldn't balance on WWE programming was he was this really intense in-ring guy, but he still wanted to be the cool guy. And whatever you want to call that, he's found the balance between the two in TNA. Got to be happy for the guy. He's going to be challenging Moose, I think, at the next one. Victory Road is in like a week or so. Because the whole idea was when he came into TNA, he stepped up to Moose. Like, he, at the end of whatever pay-per-view it was, Moose retained his title. Dolph Ziggler / Nick Nemeth came out of the crowd, ripped off the shirt, had a TNA shirt on underneath, stepped up to Moose. He wanted to win the title from Moose. He didn't win the title. He didn't win the title from Moose. Moose was eliminated by somebody else in the sixth man. So he's won the title. He's now successfully defended the title in back-to-back matches against Josh Alexander, but he didn't beat the guy he wanted to beat for it. Is kind of a very,
makes sense.
It does make sense. It's a very interesting moral thing. Like, I'm the champion, but I didn't beat the champion I wanted to beat. Is a very cool little. Because
Joe Hendry
story.
got the rub off of that one, certainly.
Well,
the first
Joe Hendry got kicked in the dick. That's why I thought we were going to see Josh Alexander at No Mercy, which would have made all kinds of sense because Ethan Page and Josh Alexander are former tag team partners. But I'm sure we're going to get that later on down the line.
I think we might down the line. I think Ethan Page might lose and then go for the tag titles. Certainly is a possibility.
Yep. I thought for a while, remember when they announced the 4-way for Heatwave when I was going, and I'm like, okay, no, just do Trick and Javon Evans face versus face. It's fine. We can like both of them. And have Ethan Page and Sean Spears go for the tag title. But Sean Spears is doing the stuff with Brooks Jensen now, which is getting mixed reviews, but it is what it is. No, but Ethan Page, before they started doing all the TNA stuff, Ethan Page and Sean Spears
it's okay.
is a great team.
Sean Spears, I hope for more for him, but...
Yeah, I think he's doing more for other people than he is for himself. So when I see him on TV, not getting anything himself, I think, okay, he's doing this mentor story with Brooks Jensen, but I'm sure he's doing something with him backstage, whatever. And
no doubt. But that reaction he got when he returned, shows that like people missed him. The Ty Dillinger character I really enjoyed, and they failed him with that. He was so over. They could have really done something more than just 10. And
but I do like that when he came back, he's like, no, this is what's working for me now. This is what we're doing.
Yeah,
and
certainly,
and happy for him for that as well. You know who I'm probably the most happy with this entire weekend/week?
Who's that?
Is my boy Zachary Wentz.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Great performance, wins the X Division title in a really great match.
In a match that came down to him and Speedball Mike Bailey, which is no easy task.
No, certainly not. And then you're like, all right, let's see, what do we get from here? And it's like, oh, we got Sunday. And then him and Wesley had that great bout. And now We flash forward to NXT, obviously. They have that fatal 4-way. They're the number one contenders.
Three-way.
Or 3-way, excuse me.
It was
right.
them and Gallus and Hank and... Oh, you're thinking 4-way because the OC got involved
the OC
afterwards.
Came out and got involved. Yeah, that's what I forgot they came out for Hank and Tank, yeah.
Low-key, you know who's a lot of fun?
Hank
and Tank.
Yeah, they're going to be... I can picture them being what Heavy Machinery should have been.
Yeah. Somebody said... Nasty Boys, Public Enemy, early Dudley Boys. I'm like all those. Put them all in one pot.
Yeah, piss people off, make it be fun.
They've got that little background story too, where Hank used to be the security guy, so like all the security guys come out and cheer for him when he wins.
Yeah,
like it's just feel good shit. And it's not the only time I'm going to mention feel good shit in this podcast either. But for when...
Side note, while you mentioned it, really quick, one of the things I wish they would change in wrestling is the security people. I'm tired of seeing security just always getting their ass kicked. I wish they could save that. Like, if someone hit security, it meant they're getting not just fined, but, like, suspended. You know what I mean? Like, it really mattered. Like,
or the security could fight back and not look like midgets.
Well, that, too. I would have a security force that would travel with me. They would be, kind of like my NXT people. But before they get their call-ups, and you have them be security, and then, you know what I mean? That kind of idea. This way you see the same security people week after week breaking up fights and doing stuff. Because I'm just tired of seeing... Who would want to work as a security job in AEW right now?
No.
Marina Shafir, John Moxley, running amok, beating the shit out of everybody? I don't want none of that.
Well, I mean, if you're security in AEW, somebody's going to mostly peacefully burn down your house. So, but here's the thing, like
the charge for that is an all-out match with a cage.
Oh, fuck me! Tell me what you can do. I said it to you on Messenger. Tell me what you can do in a lights-out cage match that you can't do in a cage match.
Yeah.
Eat shit. That company can eat shit, man.
I don't know what they did with that gimmick. They could have just left it as just a cage match.
Even though they had Simon Miller as a security guard last year at All Out, so I thought that was fun. I thought that was kind of cool. But here's the thing: I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. To be a pain in your ass, though, I do get why they don't do it.
I get it. They make
the security look small. They hire people to be wrestlers or to be referees that are smaller because visually it makes their stars look like $1 million, and it makes them look larger than life. And not everybody is an Obafemi, so you need a little bit of, futzing with the imagery, futzing with the projection of the story.
That's where you bring in the big boys that got no cardio. The real bouncers.
Oh my God, yeah.
And you get those guys to stand there. If you want to move one of them, guess what? You got to earn it.
But I will say I do like Hank and Tank. I think they're a fun team. I think they're going to get their moment at some point. People are still shitting on Gallus. I don't get it. Gallus
I don't either.
serves a purpose.
How has Joe Coffey himself not earned his love yet from the fans? The way he gets shit on.
But they're not doing it. Like they're not going for
really baffles me.
They're in title pictures to take pins from the people that are going to actually get the title shots.
Exactly. They're not doing anything to hurt anybody.
What was it? Joe Hendry's first match on NXT. Was against Joe Coffey, and it was really fun. Like they looked like like you just said a second ago. Why don't we just get bouncers to be security? They look like pissed off bouncers that are really bad at their job.
Yes,
and they just happen to be in wrestling gear. And I think like they're just grumpy idiots. And wrestling, this is not how wrestling's supposed to be. Blah, blah. You're not respecting the business.
Yeah, they're not going for it.
But like. They provide the complete opposite that you need for a fun team like Hank and Tank and a firecracker team like the Rascals. So let me run it down one more time. Wentz wins the X Division Championship in TNA's signature match. And let's not forget about all the other people that were in the thing as well. It was cool to see Riley Osborne in the X Division thing there, representing Chase U, representing NXT as well. Let's not let that go under the radar. Wins the title. Comes to NXT. They play it up as, this is a bittersweet moment for me. I've just got my title. I've got to fight my brother now. This. WWE doesn't shy away from talking about his win, talking about the X Division Championship. I think there's a string that they need to pull here where they had to come back and boost up Wes Lee when he failed to get his singles title back, and then collectively they failed to get the tag titles back. But now Wentz does have a singles title, and they are in the route for... So, like, whatever part of your life you thought you were in singles or tag, Wentz is kind of winning both now, and that needs to drive Wesley. I think that's what they need to do with it, storyline-wise. But then Axiom and Frazier get their titles back.
Which was surprising to
Chase
have
U
them
falls
lose
apart
and
with
then
Ridge
get it
Holland.
back. You know, that was not expected.
It was a little bit of a detour, but I think the detour was we did the match so that everybody could be out there so that Ridge could do the turn. And
certainly, and it had a good payoff, and the heel heat. And
we're going to get Ridge versus Duke, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
And you know what else, too? I mean, it was cool to see the tag champs lose. I mean, we don't see people... title changes happen. That's one of the things I said I was missing for a while, was that anything could happen, kind of.
Any given Sunday type of idea, right?
Yes.
But here's the thing. But putting it back on Axiom and Frazier, not only does Wentz go back as now the Rascals instead of MSK to get the titles that he and Wes Lee couldn't get, they're fighting the exact same opponents to get those belts.
Exactly.
That has to be a part of the story. You tried to go for your singles title, and then when you couldn't get your singles title, you were going to quit NXT. I went to TNA that you're talking so much shit about. I got myself a singles title. Now I'm back in your backyard. I'm going to win the tag titles that I couldn't win with you, with my other buddy, against the same team, and we're going to show how much better we are than you.
But do you think West cost them the title to keep the feud going? That's my worry and wonder at the same time. Like, I think it could be good, but I hope in another way it doesn't happen, because it could be so much better without... It could cost them later at a defense, and I think let them win the titles to complete the story. You know, get the story.
I think if the Rascals don't win the NXT championships, that Wes Lee does win the X Division championship at some point. Because if he costs them, and then Wentz goes back after him again, he says, "Okay, I'm going to get another piece of you," and Wes Lee says, "Nah, man, I don't want to fight you. Look at you, like this, that, the next thing. Okay, you want to fight me? Put your title on the line."
Yeah, I could see it being one of those.
I still do. But here's the thing as well, with the tag team thing specifically, he says, "Oh, I couldn't win the titles with you. I'll win them with Trey Miguel instead." If that doesn't branch into Wes Lee versus Trey Miguel in the other singles match that I was talking about, or if you want to represent the X Division, and if the guys from TNA want to represent the X Division on a WWE platform, make it a triple threat. Two of them are friends. That's fine. Wentz versus Trey versus Wes Lee, triple threat match on an NXT pay-per-view for the X Division Championship.
Now you're talking.
We're getting somewhere, because Jordan Grace has already teased that she wants to do Ultimate X at WrestleMania.
Which would be crazy. Which
would be absolutely fucking insane. But I mean, even if Wes Lee doesn't get involved, look what we have to look forward to next week. We've got the Rascals, the Rascals as they are now, Wentz and Trey, taking on Axiom and Frazier.
Exactly.
Tell me that's going to be bad.
How could that not rock?
With limited commercial interruption. Because it's WWE week.
Just gets better and better as it keeps going.
It's so much fun. Okay, going to go back to No Mercy. Kalani Jordan versus Wendy Chu. Wasn't everybody's cup of tea.
This was a bit of a miss, and it's unfortunate. For me, I like Wendy Chu overall. Like, it's just one of the ones I'm like, I want her to succeed. She's really gone ahead, and she's put in so much effort over time. And she was one of the people being criticized, like, during the 2.0 times where, like, oh, you're this type of...
Oh, and she was like babyface Sleepy Chu.
Yeah, you know, and she dealt with the shit for that, but now she's progressed into this different form of herself, and you know, the creepy nature of it, and I like what they've done. They added Rosemary. Like, I think there's some more life into it. So seeing her lose and then have what's her name come in, Tatum
Paxley,
and be the, you know, the story going forward was okay. I mean, it wasn't I thought knocking down the doors. So.
Like Wendy Chu, what she's doing right now, the gimmick isn't for everybody. Obviously, we talked about that in the preview. I thought that this was very much like Tony D, very much like Chase U a lot of the time. You have to, like, do your gimmick, come out as your gimmick, and then come into the ring and prove that you're something more than a gimmick. I think she did that. I think we forget that Wendy Chu in the ring is a lot better than a lot of people are thinking about, because they're so focused on, I'm not saying you, I'm just saying in general. They're so focused on not liking the gimmick that they don't even open the door for, I don't like her gimmick, but she's pretty damn good in the ring. Kind of like me and Tony Storm.
Yeah, they're just not giving her enough of a chance. And it's like,
but you know what? The gimmick works for me. The whole, like...
I like the gimmick, too.
I like the fact
I'm one of the ones that likes the creepy...
I like the fact that Booker
that's up my alley.
Booker T and what's his name, Vic Joseph have taken to calling her the Sleepy Psycho. I think that's gonna stick.
And that works well in my eyes.
In the background, for her to be on one hand pursuing a title, on the other hand, she's got this thing with, the creepy world isn't big enough for the two of us between her and Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley doesn't take up too much of the show, has a little bit of an attack, a little bit of a sleeper thing at the end of the night. And okay, Kalani Jordan's clearly going to move on to something else. I think she's moving on to do something with Toxic Influence or whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah.
But it leaves you with a feud with Wendy and Paxley. And like you say, not everybody likes the spooky stuff, but they're not fighting over a dude and they're not fighting over a title. It's depth in the division. Even if it's not for you, it's something different for the division. That's
exactly
the bare bones that I can give it. And they haven't dropped the string of Wendy Chu is now attached to Rosemary.
Yeah.
Rosemary had a match with Tatum Paxley on NXT to avenge her friend. There's a double team, and the save gets made by Lyra Valkyria.
Funny enough.
Well, see, this is the thing. A lot of people thought it was funny. A lot of people thought it was dumb. This
major callback.
Well, it's a callback, but this is freaking, like what I said before. I don't remember what we were talking about, but just generic feel-good moment stuff. This is a feel-good moment.
Oh, absolutely.
It really is. Like, Lyra was always the one where it's like, okay, she's really excited. She's kind of putting me off a little bit, but I don't want to dampen her enthusiasm. And then she kind of became a psycho. But even then, Lyra, even when she was fighting her, was like, you need to fucking chill. Like, I'm not trying to be, like, judgmental of the fact that you're a psychopath.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like, I feel bad for you, like, that kind of thing. And the fact that she's finally accepted her as her friend, finally accepted her as the crazy person she is, and is on board and is going to say, okay, we're going to be crazy, let's go take out the spooky chicks. I'm sorry, like, in wrestling terms, that's a feel-good moment.
Yeah, it works.
That's the cowboys riding off into the sunset. That's the dude and the chick potentially at the end of the rom-com finally making out at their wedding. Like, that's some feel-good shit.
Exactly.
It is. Like, I'm here, like, I've we haven't always gotten along. I haven't always understood you, but I know you've got, intensity, and I know you've got, we have this strained relationship or whatever. I saw you in trouble. I've kept my eye on you, even though it was from a distance, and I've got your back.
Exactly.
Like, how is that not a positive thing? It's a wrestling version of a positive thing. So
yeah.
It's crazy. And we have sleepy zombies and Rosemary. I love the fact that they distinguish her as being from TNA, as being from another dimension. It's borderline Hardy shit.
Yeah.
But, like, it's right up my street. But it's feel good. It's really
But that's
nice.
also, like, the air of TNA and what they stand for and what they do.
But it's just nice.
Yeah.
when they showed them backstage, and it's like she's all being all hyper, and she was still sort of standoffish, and then she finally gave in, and it's like, let's be crazy, let's show these spooky chicks what we're gonna. All right, fine, big hug, like she's drank the Kool-Aid in a good way. If that
exactly.
Makes it. Plus,
no, certainly.
Not to be like demonstrative or anything like that, but what are they doing with Lyra on Raw right now?
Not a damn thing. Exactly.
Or she's always on TV, but they're putting her in these 3-woman. Like, they've got this era now where they've got more trios in the WWE women's division than AEW has in their men's division, and they have titles.
Yeah.
Anyways, but in that, it always feels like Lyra thrown in with somebody. Like right now it's her and Zelina Vega, and they're going to team up with Natalya next week because it's in Calgary, which is a little stereotypical, but
idea.
A little stereotypical. But like they had her teamed up with Kayden Carter and Katana Chance for a bit. That was kind of fun, but now they've given her this partner, that partner, the next partner, like they did when they were trying to get Naomi over.
Yeah, certainly.
But now like you've got this person that she can dip back into NXT with, and that move from main roster to NXT is a lot more fluid these days, and it made me feel something, Jake. Like, I don't know what else.
It worked.
Like, I'm rambling through it, but like, it's nice. Wrestling can be nice.
And that's the thing that we're kind of missing every now and again, are those feel-good moments. And it's like, hey, you're doing something that's worthwhile, impactful, and good. So,
yeah. it's going to be a tag match at some point.
This
is one they'll probably. I mean, it'll probably go too long because they'll have to stretch it out. But I could see this being a tag match at Halloween Havoc.
It feels that way. Yeah, certainly.
Like Halloween Havoc's a long way away, but they might touch on it. They might do like. It would be the first main roster interaction, I guess, for TNA. But at some point, I'm sure you're going to get Rosemary versus Lyra.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be a bad match.
No, not at all.
Like I say, in the meantime, Kalani Jordan's kind of like out of the picture. Her title defense was used as a platform for this. But, I mean, she's going to go take on the Fatal Influence chicks. Eventually, you're going to get Kalani Jordan versus Fallon Henley, and that's going to be no bad thing either.
No, certainly not. And I mean, who else is going to challenge for her title? Who takes the title from her? I mean, at this point, I really don't know.
Probably Sol Ruka, but like they'll probably put a multi-woman together so that it can go from face to face without being weird. Because I don't think they're going to let Sol Ruka go too long without having some sort of accomplishment. And again, you got to remember you got somebody like with all the new talent coming in, you still got somebody like Nikita Lyons. On the shelf again, who will probably make a comeback eventually.
I forgot about her as well. Yeah, she's another one that we haven't seen in some time.
She's had as far as I know, and I haven't dug too much, but she's had like a run of just injuries and health stuff. So it's one of those, I'm not going to dig too much because that's kind of gross. Hope she's doing okay.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Obafemi killed Tony D.
He did. He killed him.
Tony
quick.
D had a good match at the same time, though. Much like
it was a good challenger for what they needed to get done.
Much like Wendy Chu, though, is I'm going to say the same thing again. Tony D needed a match that reminds you what he is beyond the gimmick, and I think he more than succeeded in that because he gave Oba a bigger fight than Oba's had yet.
Absolutely. He's still got the cup too, so there's kind of like
no, he doesn't.
That side. Oh, he doesn't have it anymore?
Nope. Charlie Dempsey has it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about NXT.
And I don't really have a way of fitting this into my notes, so I'll just put it in here as you've mentioned it. Charlie Dempsey versus Javon Evans this week on NXT.
That'll be this week. I totally forgot about NXT this past week that he lost it.
For the cup, yeah. Well, no, because remember he said he came out and Charlie Dempsey thought he was looking for another cup title shot when really he was challenging Obafemi.
Yeah.
That was 2-3 weeks ago, maybe? But yeah, no, Ren Sinclair is apparently vetting all of Charlie Dempsey's opponents, and she decided that she liked Javon Evans, so she gave him a title shot, and Charlie's losing his mind. But I mean, Charlie Dempsey, Javon Evans in a Heritage Cup Rules match this coming week on NXT, that's not going to be any kind of bad thing.
No, certainly not.
Javon Evans is going to get something soon, man. Like,
yeah,
he's got everybody. And I know, yeah, it's in Full Sail, it's the typical NXT crowd, they like what they like, but they like him, man. They liked him from the day that I'm sure he was on Level Up. I don't watch Level Up, even I'm not that much of an NXT fan. But I'm sure he was on Level Up at some point. But I mean, it's kind of like Dante Chen, where he was on Level Up for a long time. So when he got to be on the actual show, he got a huge pop from the Level Up fans, which is weird to say, because again, it's like we used to joke about Dark and Dark Elevation, like nobody watched it, it was on YouTube, whatever. I don't think anybody watches Level Up. I mean,
I don't think so either.
The audience that's there for the NXT taping is there for the Level Up taping. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it's like watching dark matches. You get to see somebody a little bit early.
That's basically what it is.
Cool,
yeah.
Right? But I mean, Oba killed him. I want to see some. I know we talked about this on Raw with the Intercontinental Championship, but you got a chance in NXT to have like a big guys division too, because you think you got Oba's with the title, obviously, but you've got Duke Hudson and Ridge Holland who are about to go at it. You can definitely put title stipulations on that. You've got guys that can come down from the main roster. Obviously, I always mention like Bronson Reed, Otis, Ivar, Omos, etc. But also you got Josh Briggs is kicking around. I mean, he's still in the N1, I think. But he'll be back eventually.
Yeah, I mean, you take Braun out there in, a couple weeks when he's not injured anymore.
Yep.
In kayfabe, and you go ahead and be like, oh, this is going to be a challenger for your title. That's a great win for Oba,
We said, like can you imagine Braun Strowman walking around with the NXT North American Championship. It would look like a wristwatch on him, but that's
it
okay.
would. But I mean, we've
It would
seen
match-
crazier things. So,
But we would have to get a black and white strap for him though, so it can match all the kinesio tape from being slammed through a car and being okay in a week.
yeah, hey, he certainly suffered.
WWE is
but
not perfect still.
They're not. They're not. And I mean, they certainly went ahead and fucking they blew out the windows. That was crazy,
Yeah.
They really kicked
It is
a lot of ass
unfortunate
there.
that they had to slip him in on Raw because what's his name, Bronson Reed dealing with COVID at the moment, because COVID's still a thing, as we all have to say. But it just
sucks that they even had to say it was COVID. They could have said it was damage from the car a week out, but I know they didn't want to make him look weak while having Braun come in.
Exactly. Well, the other thing is you've still got some people out there that are like, oh, I bet they're not safe over there. They're not even going to admit that people get COVID, and like there's still some remnants of that mentality, which is stupid. But
sadly, yeah, talk about ridiculous.
But make it obvious, make it real. Like, I like the fact that they didn't make up a story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, he's got COVID. He can't wrestle. WWE's doing the responsible thing. They don't run a sloppy shop. Fuck off, Taz. But yeah, no, Bronson Reed, like, I'm only saying, like, obviously go home, get yourself healthy, come back. Same with people within, like, we're not in the era of, like, fighting through injuries anymore and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, you don't.
It just sucks because it just felt like he was peaking with some momentum with what he was doing with his literal squash matches.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And
like they're definitely going for. I mean, they're gonna do they're gonna do Jey Uso first, but they're down the line. They're definitely looking at Braun Breaker versus Bronson Reed.
It seems like, that's definitely going to happen as well. Braun Breaker.
That's a
Bronson
weird. That's
Reed,
a weird
having
match.
them go for the title.
That's a weird match. That's a match I want to look at. Or put the two of them in there. I'm sorry, I'm not overbooking the triple threat matches, but like,
I mean, it could be a lot of fun, but
put Bronson
regardless.
on one side and Breaker on the other side, Jimmy Uso in the middle. That match,
no doubt about it.
The crowd would
Another
be into
thing for
it.
Jimmy to lose about.
Well, yeah.
Sadly.
But like, look at the destructive power of Braun Breaker, the destructive power of Bronson Reed. Jimmy Uso just goes, I just shagged Rhea Ripley. Yeet.
Yeet.
Anyway, I just think it would be a lot of fun. Anyways, that was a diversion. We've already kind of talked about it, but let's talk about it. I mean, we know Roxanne Perez is awesome, but Jada Parker probably
she was impressive.
Shot out. As far as people that I was like, let's see what they can do. Sounds really derogatory. I'm sorry.
No, she delivered certainly more than I was. Yeah, she was really good and certainly better than what I was expecting too. And I don't want that to sound like in a bad way, but so far in NXT, she kind of hasn't always given us too much. So
I think she's sort of been saddled with the OTM guys because I don't think they're clicking. And they
sadly, like you said, it's kind of just been a while for her to really have anything of like substance or merit.
Yeah. But I think she did. Like, she projected, and we talk about it a lot. We talked about it with Jade Cargill when she came over to WWE. We talk about it with Rhea Ripley a lot. We talk about it with even somebody like a Lash Legend or somebody on those lines. She might not have it all in the ring, but she projects that I fucking belong here. I fucking belong in this title match. I fucking belong standing right here in front of you. It helps that she can actually look down at Roxanne Perez.
Yeah, exactly.
But the whole, like, Roxanne Perez carries herself like $1 million as a heel to everybody that's like, oh my god, why'd they turn her heel? Because she's awesome.
Yeah,
like,
it's just
draw a direct line from Bayley to Dakota Kai to Roxanne Perez to, oh my god, you could never turn them heel, except they're awesome.
Except they've all delivered. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But like, Roxanne Perez projects herself like a champion, obviously, because she didn't come into NXT new. Like, nobody's thinking that she did when she was Roxy. I saw her in one match.
Yeah, exactly. And,
what was it?
People were like, "Oh, she's CM Punk's." It's like that's why she's getting the attention. Not, hey, her breadth of work and match quality has been so fucking awesome.
I still love that my introduction to her was she was the ROH champion, defending the ROH championship on Impact against Deonna Purrazzo, who's now in NXT or in AEW.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, Deonna Purrazzo's not a horrible opponent either.
No, certainly not.
The wrong company, but she's a great talent. She's having weird wine at dinner promos and such,
Yeah,
and they've trapped her on Collision.
It's not been terrible, but
trapped her on Collision. Put her on the main show.
Yeah, just let her go ahead and not be seen. That's what you want.
Yeah. Well, Obafemi say in some cultures the women are seen and not heard to the Riz.
And that got heat.
And that twisted everybody all the way up. It's like, fuck me. He's being
I thought
a
was
dickhead to his
hilarious.
opponent's teammate. Please teach these people storytelling. Anyway,
they don't know what kayfabe is,
Oh my god, it doesn't exist anymore. Well, it would if you would let it. If you didn't wake up and lift your head off the pillow at the beginning of the day saying, what can I cry about today? The champion doesn't look like me, so it's not a good champion.
I don't like the representation here.
Can you tell? Can you tell I've had a shitty day?
Can you tell that the work week finally caught up with Spaz? No.
Oh.
You were waiting for the impending doom.
And this is a short week too. We had fucking holiday Monday. Happy
late
long
you
weekend
knew
to
it
all
was
my
coming.
fellow Canadians.
You didn't know it was coming. You were waiting on that to eventually transpire into chaos.
Yeah, but the bullshit didn't even come. It's just people are ignorant and translates very well into wrestling. Anyways, Perez, Parker had a great showing. Perez,
hell of a match here. You knew she wasn't going to lose, but still, it was all about the
towards the
afterparts.
end, right? When I forgot about they're going to do this and then they're going to do this and then they're going to do this, right? When I forgot about the structure stuff that we talk about all the time. Oh my god, who could debut afterwards? When I was actually in the match, they had me once or twice.
Yeah, certainly. They made you feel.
Because and that's more to the point of Roxanne Perez is well overdue for a main roster call. I don't want her to leave NXT, but she's going to kick ass.
I think she's going to debut in the Rumble or something along those lines soon. It really feels that way.
The funny thing is, though, now is they have to figure out a way to let people know whether somebody showing up in the Rumble is a call-up or is it just, hey, somebody from NXT is here for a night. There's no distinction, so you don't know how excited to be.
Certainly.
Do you know what I mean? Because NXT does participate in the Royal Rumble. Eventually, they're going to have an NXT person win the Rumble and cash in and defend the NXT Championship at WrestleMania, do something cool like that. But right now, they're in this really weird gray area where if somebody shows up in the Rumble and they're from NXT, is this Roxanne Perez here representing NXT, or is this Roxanne Perez making her debut on the main roster in the Royal Rumble? So you don't know what kind of cheering you're doing. It's not a death sentence like it used to be.
No, certainly
not. By any stretch, but
it's not a death sentence.
But it's also kind of unclear. And plus, as we said before, main roster and NXT are a lot more fluid these days anyway. But yeah, no, the match was good. 4 pop rocks. Oh, the pop rocks through the guardrail wasn't hard enough, and I think there's a little bit of padding on that guardrail. Jericho fell through a fucking box.
I know.
Jake, these people are gonna do me in. But no, it was really good. The pop rocks on the guardrail thing was funny because yes, it is padded, so it did look a bit funny. I will say, going back to the previous match though, when the Wentz versus Wesley match, when the table collapsed before it was supposed to, so he just did the dive on Wesley in the rubble. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was great.
And it wasn't like, oh my god, the table broke, what do we do now? Because they're not, Anyway. Big talking point is after the match, obviously, lights go out, big smoke, nothing on the Tron, really. Smoke lasted, I think, longer than they thought it was going to last. Finally, we got the debut of Giulia in the standoff in the ring. Very, very cool. Led to the closing moment of NXT this week with Roxanne Perez coming out and saying, oh, nobody can beat me, I don't even care if you're some hoity-toity signing from Japan. Then we get the lights out. Then we get Chelsea Green for reasons. Were you expecting somebody else? Fucking love Chelsea Green.
No, certainly. And then plus on top of it, she also did the little tribute to Hana Kimura, which was really nice as well. So
who did?
The only Giulia.
So, okay. Oh yeah, I wasn't there yet. I was talking about the Chelsea thing, coming out and telling all the NXT fans that they stink, and I'm very special. I should do this and this and this.
Exactly. And Giulia's gotten the heat already, but just that little thing she did, where on NXT when she came out, I mean.
Oh, you're talking about on the Tron.
Yeah,
with all the flowers and whatnot.
Yeah, that was really nice, so it would have been her 27th birthday, and I guess that and the outfit combined of something she was wearing, and she also on Instagram wished her a happy birthday, and because she was the one that took her own life, unfortunately, back in 2020.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the name. You wouldn't have been able to show me something on screen and have me know, oh, that's a tribute for so-and-so, because I'm not familiar with them, and I'm not going to take somebody who's passed away and be like, oh yeah, I know all about them, because that's shitty. So I wouldn't have known.
One of the positives, I guess, is that they updated the laws now in 2022. So now online abuse is either a 300,000 yen fine or a year in jail minimum. So.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, it led to her suicide. So I guess you could say that, but I mean, still, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was just a nice touch for her to do, certainly. And then
I wish I had known that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Giulia's great. She's just really an excellent worker, and I think we're going to get some really incredible matches soon enough. And
we know we're getting them on the CW kickoff.
Yes, that'll be one definitely. So that's cool to wait for. And then
the title match, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, because they did the fake out with Chelsea Green, I wonder if they've brought Chelsea Green down to NXT for like a week or two, and maybe her like debut match is going to be with Chelsea Green, because you can beat Chelsea Green and it doesn't really hurt her that much because she's kind of a comedy character.
Yeah, she can recover from the loss, unfortunately, and others not so much, but...
Well, or she can just come out there and cut a promo to the point where everybody wants her to get her head kicked in.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
But yeah, no, like obviously the big news is Giulia coming to NXT finally. It's been talked about for a long time. It's been hinted at for a long time, specifically by Roxanne Perez. But like, it shouldn't go under the radar that Chelsea Green popping back to NXT is kind of cool too. She's got the history with Robert Stone. You see pictures on socials with her and Wendy Chu and Rosemary. Like, fuck, name that faction.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, so there's going to be something. I mean, either Roxanne Perez. I could see. I don't know which way I want it to go, because if they want to have a chance on weekly television, because sometimes they will have like a nothing match just to talk about the person in the ring because they have something else coming up. Right?
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
like, say Roxanne Perez takes on Chelsea Green this week on NXT, just like, fuck you for interrupting me type thing. And to get in Roxanne Perez's head, the following week, Giulia has her debut against Chelsea Green and beats her even faster. And then they have another stare down. Oh my God, what's going to happen in Chicago?
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard. Like,
no.
Booking wrestling is hard. I couldn't do it week to week, but at the same time, it's not that hard.
No. I mean, there is a lot.
And Chelsea
needed.
Green is so awesome for that to be. These two people want to fight each other, but they can't, so they're both going to use her as a punching bag.
That would be great. Like, I could see them doing that too.
She's got that Miz quality to her, and Miz, like, graphically underrated in what he contributes to the company. But I think Chelsea Green is getting herself into that conversation as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
But yeah, not much else. We didn't get Stephanie Vacour or Delta, but right now we have Giulia, we have title matches set up, and we have Jordynne Grace coming back again. So
and Stephanie said, wait in due time. Will.
Well, because she was. Correct me if
patience.
I'm wrong. You're better on the visa stuff than I am. Isn't she dealing with visa stuff right now?
From what I heard at one point, that was.
And that's why her debut was at the Mexico house shows.
Yes. Yeah, she's waiting.
Seems like she got a hell of a reaction.
She did indeed, and apparently she's still getting over well with the, the previous people she worked for, so that's good too. At least CMLL and everywhere else, she still has a really good working relationship with, so that's a good thing, thankfully.
Well, that's good. I mean, you don't want to burn bridges because, like, at this point,
well, that was the fear because she went ahead and
she had to cancel dates, right?
Yeah,
And I think, like, back in the day, they wouldn't have cared, and anybody signing with WWE wouldn't have cared. But now WWE is doing all this outreach with all these different organizations. It's like, we don't know. Like, next year we could be doing something with CMLL. Maybe they realize AEW is not the ticket, and, Worlds Collide is NXT versus TNA versus CMLL.
Exactly.
But
it's good to hear that even though she dropped the... the belts without losing the titles, that she's still able to go ahead and have good working relationships with those groups, and that there aren't any problems, because You would thought, hey, there would be issues at one point. But.
Supposedly, Damian Priest has been really integral in, like, welcoming her and getting her, like, acclimatized to, like, WWE. Like, you know, not literally, but, like, figuratively, like, taking her around the locker room and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool there. Like, I get the gist that Damian Priest is a pretty good dude. So if he's taken that on or taken her under his wing or whatever, if she becomes the third terror or triplet somewhere along the way, like, that's pretty cool. But it's cool to hear that, like, things are already unfolding well for her behind the scenes, even though we're not seeing her on TV yet. Like, you want that for everybody.
Exactly. You want to hear good
maybe not the Bucks, but
things progressing and no problems, certainly.
Yeah. A nice well-opened door is always a nice thing, as opposed to a forbidden one.
Yeah, absolutely.
What we say a couple weeks ago, the cool thing about NXT and TNA working together is, like, somebody from NXT shows up in TNA, they get NXT chance. Somebody from TNA shows up on NXT, they get TNA chance. Like, it's not a backstage thing, but the fans themselves are opening their arms to the other company and saying, like, you know, come on in, type of thing. And I think that's really cool, because it wouldn't have been like that before. You would have gotten, oh my God,
why are they here?
Those are WCW guys. They came from down there. They came. It's so much better now. People don't want to admit it, but it's so much better now.
Yeah, you aren't wrong.
It's really, really funny to me. There's a certain group of podcasters that I really like that have one that I don't really like. And I'm not going to mention anybody by name. I'm really not, because that's beyond me. That's below me to do so.
Beneath you.
It's beneath me, indeed, like a toilet seat. But it's just so, like what you like AEW. I'm happy for you if you like orange juice and people burning down the wrong houses and stuff like that. That's fine. But the more something in WWE or NXT gets over, the more this person tries so hard to tell you it's bad.
Yeah, certainly.
And it's like, the more they hate it, or the more they try to project hating it, the more I'm solidified in this is pretty fucking good. Like, you know what I mean?
No doubt about it.
And it's not like we don't say that there's bad shit. I mean, look at the women's tag titles in Berlin. We knew what was going to happen there.
Yeah, certainly. We knew a while ago what was going to happen.
Just get Jade Cargill over to Raw. Let her have her exhibition match with Rhea Ripley. It's going to be fucking fantastic. It's going to be Godzilla and King Kong of stature and of personality. It's going to be great. Get her away from the other one, the ring rat, or oh, sorry, that's not politically correct, and I forgot to give a shit. Moving on. No Mercy once again. All Ego Ethan Page technically defeated Joe Hendry with Trick Williams as the referee. There was a lot of fuckery at the end, as we thought there would be, but I thought the fuckery was done really well.
Him sliding in and stopping the ref from getting 3 initially was so damn just.
And it wasn't like he was fucking with the referee. It was like, no, this is my match. I'm responsible for what happens here.
Yes.
So he's sort of fucking with the referee, but not in a way that makes him suddenly a heel.
Exactly.
And
that's why it works so well. He slid in. He's like, back up. This is my match.
Yep.
And that's what made me love it, you know? It's like, holy hell, they really went ahead and outdid themselves.
I'll tell you, I'll be honest, though. I like Ego. I like Joe Hendry. I like everything Joe Hendry's throwing into the mix on NXT. I like Trick Williams. I'll tell you what this match suffered from, though.
What's that?
The most over guy in the ring was the guy in the striped shirt.
You think Trick was more over than Hendry?
I do.
Really? I mean, it's arguable, certainly. I mean, they were
they did all of his, what do you want to call it? Like his call and response, his crowd reaction stuff, all the stuff that's fun about Joe Hendry.
Yeah.
But when you look in that, and it's not about like physical stature, but as characters, as fun as Joe Hendry is, as much of a sniveling rat heel as All Ego Ethan Page is, charisma, character, all that stuff, Trick Williams was 10 feet tall in that ring.
Oh, no, I see it. I mean, whoop that Trick. You heard the chants. That was probably some of the loudest in the fucking building.
It didn't make the match bad, but I couldn't not see it. And I was like, that's a bit of a bummer. I thought, because they were doing, again, it's another another notch in the right direction of, oh my God, you could have a TNA person winning a WWE championship or an NXT championship. I really thought that they would have had Pete Dunne come out early, take out Trick. The Trick part of the story would have been over. They would have gotten a regular referee in, and the chips would have fallen where they may.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a little cleaner. I think they would have done that if the decision that night was for Joe Henry to win. I think it would have been counted by a regular referee with no bullshit involved. Get the bullshit out of the way early.
Probably.
Instead, we get Ethan Page winning with the weird DDT on the belt plus the low blow plus another Ego's Edge. The Ego's, I will say, I heard somebody else mention this. Can't remember who it is because I'm a terrible person. They did do a favor for Joe Henry on the way out because it's like, okay, if you're going to beat me, make it look like I was beaten. The last Ego's Edge that he hit him with, he planted him in the ring.
He threw him.
Like, he chucked, like, it's, Ego's Edge is basically a Razor's Edge, right? But, like, if you remember when Razor used to do it, and he used to, like, fully fall to his knees himself, like it was a javelin, like, that's how the third one came down. So he doesn't look weak. He took a ball shot, took a belt shot, took a bunch of finishers, took a bunch of referee fuckery to beat him. I'm sure it'll come around again at some point. But yeah, Trick was the biggest character in the ring, and long term, we know that he's going to have his title back sooner than later, and that kind of hovered. And him being in there as the ref kind of reminded you of that, and you're like, okay, well, they're not going to do Joe Henry versus Trick, even though they hinted at it beforehand. They did an appropriate amount of, oh, you better not fuck me over, ref. You better not fuck me over, ref. Hey, man, I'm the referee. Look at my cool, like, jersey-style referee shirt because I have 27 abs and I'm Trick Williams. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not jealous. It's fine. But the closing, this is the thing, too. It made sense because Pete Dunne said you're not even going to make it out of No Mercy on Sunday. He said that last week. Yeah. So you knew he was going to get attacked at some point. The attack happened after the match. And the pay-per-view closed on a shot of Pete Dunne and his music playing. Yeah. Which again, if the focus wasn't already off the two people fighting for the title that night, it definitely was at the end. Now that's just a production choice. That's not anything to do with any of the wrestlers in the ring. But
no, certainly not.
But some odd choices made in the last match.
Certainly, it was weird seeing Pete Dunne come out. I know they wanted to put the story over. I get that.
Yeah,
but
Trick Williams in his street clothes trying to like awkwardly sell the bitter end as well, because the bitter end is a pretty cool move, but like the size difference between him and Pete Dunne, and the fact that he was in street clothes and he had the the little audio pack thing for his headphone in the back pocket and the wire around him, and it was like
was cool to see again.
It's kind of cool to see a move that's not hit perfectly. Because when it's not hit perfectly, it looks more painful. Not hit perfectly on the outside is even better. What do you call it? The brawl that they had on NXT this week was great. I saw replays of it, and it wasn't as great, but the first time I saw it, the Russian leg sweep off the guardrail through the commentator's table was it's not reinventing the wheel, but a new twist is as good as a new move sometimes.
Yeah, that was incredible looking and not expected and really inventive.
It was supposed to be the main event, and they all through the first half of the show, they couldn't stop fighting. And I like Ava just being back there and basically without saying fuck it, go have your match now. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And if you notice,
still here arguing.
And if you notice, Stevie Turner and Robert Stone in the back there with her, as All Ego comes in and says, this place is falling apart under your leadership.
Yeah, so it certainly leads to a bit of a little bit of
something. So I'm thinking sooner or later they're going to write out Ava. They're going to try and make her a wrestler again. I know people were really harsh with her before, but you never know. She could have been training all this time behind the scenes. You never know. It's stupid, and it would only work on NXT. I kind of want to see a battle for the throne between Robert Stone and Stevie Turner for who gets to be the next GM.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I think it is because it's NXT. It wouldn't work. I would make fun of it on Raw. I would make fun of it on SmackDown. I would make fun of it on TNA. I would slaughter it on AEW. It fits in NXT. It would be stupid fun. It would be really, 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 really stupid fun. But
it would be.
Dunne attacks Trick. They fought to a no contest on NXT after fighting in the back like more than one. They fought in the opening promo. They fought in the back twice. They were sent to the ring. They fought to a no contest. Ava announces next week, as part of WWE Week on NXT, still on USA Network, they are having, not only is it a last man standing match, but it is a last man standing number one contenders match for All Ego Ethan Page's championship, and that match is going to happen at the CW debut in Chicago. So, spoiler, it's going to be Trick. I don't think we're although it would be an interesting match, I don't think we're getting All Ego Ethan Page versus Pete Dunne. I really don't. At some point, that's a match I'd like to see, but it doesn't make sense. So that means on that show, they're debuting in front of a live crowd that has outsold Dynamite by leaps and bounds. It happens to be in Chicago, where, you know, another company likes to think is their home. It's going to be guest hosted by CM Punk.
Does he interact with Roxanne? I'm sure they're going to do something.
Well, Roxanne Perez is defending her championship against Giulia in her first title match.
Yeah, I didn't know if Punk would be involved with it at all, you know, commentating and, you know, something.
We don't know if it's going to be her first match, but we know it's going to be Giulia's first title match, obviously.
Yes.
So we're also going to get Ego versus Trick in a rematch, because that was a 4-way that he lost the title in. So technically he never lost it. He just was on the outside making funny faces while the pin happened.
Yes.
So both titles are being defended. By the time we get to the CW debut, I think we're getting an X Division title of some sort. An X Division title match, I should say. Plus, it's going to be...
Especially with how much they put over Wentz, and they've really made him, like, you know, over, obviously, lately on NXT, not just for the feud, but obviously for, you know, the whole... I think they're definitely going to use him more.
Yeah, I do, too. If we get the triple threat match, that's going to be fucking awesome. But again, but again, at the same time, I would hope that would be saved for a pay-per-view. And plus, I want to see, if we're going to have the X Division Championship defended on NXT, I want to see more of the X Division guys from TNA and more of the X Division types from NXT involved. I want to see... I know I just said it at WrestleMania. If they announce in Chicago on the CW debut on NXT, you're going to have WWE's first Ultimate X match.
Yeah.
And 3 of the competitors are the 3 members of the Rascals, and NXT and TNA both have like qualifying matches to throw like 2 or 3 more people in it. Holy fuck, dude. That would, like...
Think about who they can add. I mean, there's so many people...
I mean, you throw in Javon Evans, you throw in Axiom, you throw in Nathan Frazier, you throw in Riley Osborne, and you can even play up the fact that he was the first NXT person to ever participate in an Ultimate X match. You can go to the other side. You can throw in Ace Austin, Chris Bay, who else? Who am I thinking of? Who am I missing? I don't know. Throw in a Mike Bailey. Throw in somebody big just because you have to do that in an Ultimate X match.
Yeah, you need one.
Throw Hammerstone in there again. Why not? Throw PCO in the Ultimate X match.
Oh, God. He doesn't
need
another
concussion. Just to
concussion.
wind up Jake.
He doesn't need another concussion.
Oh,
poor man's really going to turn into Frankenstein if we keep hitting his head.
Do the Ralph Wiggum thing. He's already dead.
He'll get the help he needs, folks. Don't you worry.
In another life. We'll bring back... Oh, from COVID times, we'll bring back the NXT zombies.
Oh, God.
All right.
At least not as bad as the main roster ones, you know?
Oh, dear. Remember when WWECW actually had the zombie?
The zombie, yeah, for the Sandman to come out and kill.
Oh, my God. There we go. Get Sandman in there for an Ultimate X match.
There we go. You needed somebody.
Even on the main roster, like, you know, I know it's mostly NXT and TNA, but like if you took somebody like Dragon Lee, or even shoot the shot, throw Xavier Woods in there. Throw Xavier Woods in there, and you can play in his history in TNA as Consequences Creed.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be a lot of fun.
There's ways you can make that work very well.
This is going to be a lot of fun. And the thing is, because they're hyping up next week's show and the CW show, they haven't announced a single thing for Halloween Havoc yet.
Yeah,
like,
so that's
so much more to play with.
We've got a lot to look forward to. I mean, really, there's quite a bit there that I'm excited for. I mean, like you said, we know we're getting essentially, but there's a lot of possibilities. We don't know the standing of champions. We don't know the standing of
And the funny thing is, and I know I'm getting repetitive on this here right now. Like, we have Halloween Havoc to look forward to. Halloween Havoc's great. It's right up my street. We've talked about it before. I'm well more right now curious as to what the NXT participation in Bound for Glory is going to be.
Yeah, because that's their big show. They've been working in a lot. So
it would be the equivalent of having TNA guys at WrestleMania or Stand and Deliver. Oi, oi, oi. Now, okay. So, I always do this, and I didn't even warn you this time.
Uh-oh.
Random question.
Here we go.
Random question for Jake, just because we're talking about the NXT TNA relationship so much. We're enjoying it, obviously.
Absolutely.
A lot of other people are looking to poke holes in it. A lot of other people are liking to imply that only WWE is benefiting from it, even though it's nonsense. I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to give you my answer, and then you can give me your answer.
Okay.
What would you do if you're WWE? What would be the ultimate move for TNA that would prove that TNA is going to benefit from this just as much as WWE/NXT is? My answer, and it's never going to happen in a million years, Cody Rhodes goes to Bound for Glory and defends the WWE Championship.
Yeah, I mean, that would be obviously like the thing to do. I don't see them doing anything with main roster, but I certainly see them working with obviously NXT. So you could say if the biggest match I could see is them defending their NXT title to a TNA person like a Joe Hendry, you know what I mean, like the rematch or something. I could see that being huge. Certainly.
Okay.
I mean, Cody Rhodes is the deal, obviously, and they're having CM Punk come, and I mean, having a CM Punk match would certainly, like, if that got announced, something happened there, and they came over and they challenged him for Bound for Glory.
That counts though for the amount that CM Punk is involved in NXT these days.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that could work. I just don't see Cody happening. Like, that's such a far shot. No, I know that's
that's my out there example because more
my
so
realism brain kicks in at that point, and I'm like, I don't see them doing that. But I could see them defending the titles, either the women's or the men's, especially if Giulia goes ahead and wins the title before then.
Yeah.
And they need a good defense for her. I mean, the roster's open there. She can do a lot. So kind of open-ended that way. I mean, Jordan Grace would be great, but that's one I think you want to save. Do you really want to go title for title again? You know, have Jordan Grace lose? No, certainly not. And you can't have Giulia lose there. So like you said, have her defend against somebody.
I think you could do two things there. I think you could have somebody from TNA go for the NXT title and somebody from NXT go for the TNA title, both on Bound for Glory.
Exactly. Two big names.
It would be
equally.
There's a funny little thing here. There's parents and children in wrestling, obviously.
Yes.
Santino Marella.
All sperm and eggs. I gotcha.
Oh, dear. Santino Marella is the director of authority in TNA.
Yes.
His daughter is in NXT.
I know, funny enough.
Somebody else's daughter is also in NXT. That person also happens to be on the board of TKO. What if The Rock showed up at Bound for Glory? Rock shows up at Bound for Glory and calls out Roman Reigns. Calls out Roman Reigns for a match.
Yeah, right.
And the big payoff of the whole bloodline thing, the whole
is that Bound for
WrestleMania to WrestleMania. That would, The Rock versus Roman Reigns in the what's it called? King of the Mountain match.
Oh god, no! Dude, bring back Lethal Lockdown. Oh, that's what you need for those two.
Oh man, I think it's ridiculous. I think
you gotta put it in that giant red cage.
Yeah, I think. Oh, the Asylum.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is.
The Steel Asylum that Jeff Hardy was supposed to make his debut in, and then he couldn't get into the cage properly.
Well, who couldn't climb out of it? Because
somebody couldn't climb out of it. I think it was Austin.
I thought it was like Low Key or somebody like that couldn't climb out of it.
Because you have to climb up the inside of the dome to get out of the hole.
So they couldn't work their way out, and then Jeff was supposed to do something when they climbed out. But they never made it out.
So they took the cameras off of him and they took him out a side door. And then
Jeff was already on top.
Jeff couldn't get to him, so he just clocked him with a chair.
Yeah.
You know, full on concussions are fine. He just sat there singing his song.
Yeah. Oh. No more. You know, just him fucking. You know, and he was such a great person as far as like, I'm gonna do everything I can for the fans.
Oh yeah,
Meeting them was so cool, and watching him stay. Jeff, you know, had a little bit of a reprieve, but Matt staying in character that entire time for like 4 hours, never once slipping at all. Like just entirely.
The one time, and I didn't watch it. I wasn't watching it at the time, but the one time where they did a whole episode of Impact at the Hardy compound.
Absolutely, yeah, that as well. And see, that's one of the things we didn't talk about with Bound for Glory. That was one of my favorites, too, was just because I love Joe Hendry. I'm all about him right now. I tried to get Cronin into the Hendry game, you know, and I am just adoring what they're doing with him. So having the, you know, Matt Hardy and Hill, and they added them into it, and then seeing them all turn around and do the camera spot, and Jeff just kept breaking and laughing.
They mixed the two musics.
Yes.
We didn't even talk about that when I talked about the Henry match.
That's how I was leading back into it quick. So that was
Santana, the Hardys, and Joe Hendry taking on the System. I hate the System, man.
I'm not a fan of them either, but it worked. It was what it needed to be, and it was fun for that, for the face side of things.
Except they lost.
Yeah, which you expected, but I still had fun with it. That's all I was expecting out of it. I really didn't care one way or the other.
I just, you know, you're sending one of your most popular guys to another company 2 days later to main event for a title. I thought they would have given him a little, like, I'm not saying bend the story to help NXT, not saying that, but like, he's representing your company in a title match. Give him a little momentum.
Yeah, I was surprised that they did lose there, but it wasn't a fault of his. Like,
no.
Really, so I don't know. He didn't look bad, and like it was like, shit. You know, like I'm just here to help you guys out and have fun. So.
And I'm sorry, but the Hardy Boys look like they're having a blast again.
Jeff was laughing and breaking character so much, and that was like the joy of it. Like, usually I'm not a fan of that, but for this it fit because it was just so ridiculous. And out of everything they've done, all the delete stuff, everything, you know,
and it's so out of place.
Delete,
It's so out of place for them to have Santana as a partner because he's trying to be like all like down and serious and Street Fighter and
and he's, you know, just recently come back, you know, he's not with his brother anymore, and it's like, all right, he's gonna have this big thing, and so I wasn't expecting them to
apparently
lose.
He's got another big match coming up with Moose, but also Moose is trying to get his title back from Nemeth because Nemeth gave him a title shot. I've got to figure all that out. That episode of TNA is actually happening right now as we're talking.
As we're speaking, that's airing. So
it's the fun thing about our recording time mostly being Thursdays.
Yes.
I actually got TNA.
NXT.
I actually got TNA Plus. So it's got a hell of a library. It's a pretty good system. It actually operates with less glitches than Netflix for me these days, so that's nice.
Yeah, funny enough, I'm waiting to see how Netflix does when they go ahead and go live for Raw. I mean, I'm kind of expecting problems. Yeah. I don't know. I can't be the only one thinking that they're going to shit the bed for a little bit.
I mean, you said before, they've done a couple of live. They've done a couple of live things, but nothing that's going to require this much consistency.
Yeah, consistency and concurrency.
That's true.
Are they really drawing millions for these comedy specials? I don't know if they are. Maybe over time, but live to watch it debut.
But that might be strategic as well. Like put something out that's a little lightweight, like a comedy show that's going to get an audience, but maybe not. But maybe not maximize the full extent of your subscriber base before you do something live.
Yeah, don't break
3 or 4 times
in.
a week. Yeah. Don't break the servers and don't take out the water coolers.
You want to do where you put the PC together and then remember you forgot the fucking cooling paste? Yeah, one of those. Why are my temps so goddamn high?
You asked me before, way, long time ago now, because we've been talking for a while, who the next person to face Kalani Jordan is?
Yes.
I think Rosemary takes another shot at her. Because I think Rosemary taking the secondary women's title would be another very interesting first title to cross the line. Yeah. The only thing keeping me from, because I'm looking at my notes, I'm looking over my notes, and I'm like, I just want to see more Rosemary on my TV. Not gonna lie, because she's fun.
She's great. She's like one of the ones that improved the most.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, and really like defied expectations, because when she started, it just really, I didn't think she'd go anywhere far.
Yeah, it takes a minute to get on board with what the gimmick is.
Never mind just the gimmick, but like before she even got into the like character with the undead and everything, like it just I don't know. I just didn't expect a lot.
Well, I came into her giggity when she had already figured out the gimmick and knew what it was. And as we said, like it's a gimmick that's right up my street. Oh, how dare you like spooky stuff in wrestling? I don't know, because I'm fun.
I've always
Sidgwick.
enjoyed The Undertaker. Was always one of my favorites. I mean, I got in trouble for trying to sacrifice my sister to the Dark Lord after he did it to Stephanie. I tied my sister up with my buddy John with some bed sheets and made her hold her there and told her we were going to sacrifice her to Satan.
Well, see, you bring in accomplices and it's twice as likely you're going to get caught. So,
well, that was my problem. John couldn't keep his mouth shut.
The only thing that keeps me back from thinking that it might be Rosemary going after Kalani is it's the newest title on the brand. I don't know if that's the title they want to hand off to another company. It might be a
the title
consideration,
to
right?
hand off. No,
maybe.
I don't think they'd want to fuck with North American right now. And Kalani has a decent reign for being one of the first. She's had a pretty good reign. And the second person to win it is from TNA. I think that's pretty historic in its own way. You know?
It's true. It could be what was it? The Continental Champion was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Or the All Atlantic Championship, or whatever it was.
Or the Intercontinental, isn't that what? Oh, sorry. European? Oh, no. What was it? Oh, God.
It's the try to go a day without copying WWE challenge. Impossible.
Hey, they did burn down somebody's house. Bray Wyatt 2.0. I mean, they had to go there.
But it was shitty when Randy Orton did it.
And it was childhood home, you know?
It was shitty when Randy Orton did it because Randy Orton gets a paycheck from a company that can actually fill a building.
Hey, they had their time, too, where they had the tarps, you know? It's crazy to see the excuses right now. I mean, you said it to me before. Yeah, we do admit it, and that's certainly a big difference.
What did I say to you? Well, the ratings this week were 660,000 or so. And
yeah. Because Trump was on. Meltzer.
No, because there was news and tennis.
Yeah, the news of Trump's, his speech and then whatever, town hall, whatever you want to call it, and then dealing with, as they said before, tennis. Because wrestling fans and their tennis. He's like, well, people do go to... what's the name of the Grand Slam? Just because it's held at a tennis stadium doesn't mean that people give a shit about tennis. You fucking moron! Like,
I have never paid attention to Dave Meltzer. I have only ever heard from people doing the "oh my god, you'll never believe what Meltzer said" now thing, and I'm like.
I've always paid attention because of the news stuff that I've done with Joe. Before that, I should say I was not like a rabid reader, but I was always I'm not a detractor of his either. But it was fun to always be oh, what did Meltzer say now? How did he not give that match 5 stars? And recently,
Jake,
you look back,
Jake, news and tennis.
I know he's clearly lost his mind, and we've known that for a while. They come up with every excuse they can. Oh, the NFL's back now. Oh, it's every single time they've got something to say. And
I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care if when we were down in our doldrums and our show was terrible, if you said, oh, Super Bowl week's coming this week or whatever the fuck it is. I don't watch football, but whatever the Monday Night Football thing is.
Yeah, all the times WWE had strict competition from Monday Night Football, absolutely.
But that was a silly excuse. And that was
a legit excuse too. And that's the thing. Monday Night Football takes away.
But it was silly because it's WWE. It's bad because it was WWE.
And that's what kills me. And
you know what I love? You know what I love? You know what else is happening October 1st?
What's that?
October 1st is their debut on the CW.
Yes.
October 1st is when they're going live in Chicago. Headlined by CM Punk. It's also Tuesday Night Dynamite.
Yes. Head to head. And they have Punk in Chicago on the CW, which is not cable. So... Never mind that.
Okay, what's their favorite word? Counter-programming, right?
Yes.
So is counter-programming moving Collision to the 8 o'clock spot on Friday? No, because it's not WWE, so no. No.
They did that because of All Out, not because they wanted
Sure
to.
they did.
Last time they had Collision before All Out, but now they want to do it so it's only, because All Out's already going to be a 7-hour show, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
2-hour pre-show and a 5-hour pay-per-view, because God forbid we don't show every single person under the sun here.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, if I was going to try and give them some advice, right? If I was going to try and help AEW do something in their favor, right?
Yes.
Why don't you just do Collision Saturday afternoon and call it the kickoff?
I don't know why they don't do that anymore. They did that at one point.
The kickoff to WWE pay-per-views used to be Sunday Night Heat.
Yes, for a reason. And then when they had other things, and they've actually had shows before and after. They've done it with NXT. They've done it with others. So
I used to like, honestly, in the takeover days. And, I mean, you were spoiled if you went to the show, but it didn't really matter.
No,
Before the takeover, they taped the next week's episode of NXT in the same building. So I have to take back what I said at the beginning of the show. Technically, they have done weekly episodes of NXT in arenas. It's just not what people bought a ticket for.
No, but they did have them then, and people did go. So,
but I have to make the distinction now, though, that the people that are going to sell out Chicago while they destroy Dynamite did buy a ticket just to see that weekly show. I think that's a distinction that needs to be made. So I think in the sense that it's the show standing on its own 2 feet with no pay-per-view help, it is still a first.
So what are you most excited for? That's what I want to know. Going forward, what are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking most forward to right now.
Yes, right now.
Right now, I'm looking forward to, in 6 days, I'm going to see Rascals versus Axiom and Nathan Frazier, and either the Rascals are going to be tag champions, which is going to make Zachary Wentz a 2-time champion, or they're going to get fucked, and I'm going to get a cool X Division title shot later on down the line between him and Wesley.
Right now, not to capitalize on what you just said, but that is probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most, because I really like Nathan Frazier. Obviously Triple H has a big star there in him. And Axiom has been pretty damn great too, especially for, Luchadors Go and Masked, Avengers. He's been very impressive. Their tag title run was pretty damn epic, and everything they've done pretty much to follow up with it has been damn good too. So I liked how they lost the titles. I like how they regained them.
Here's what you do.
There's a lot to it. Think about it.
There's your 6.
And then you're going to hear Hot Potato if now, you see them win the tag titles on Tuesday, if the Rascals capture the title. Oh, look at that Hot Potato. They bounced it 3 times in 2 weeks, and it's like,
well, yeah, because they're going to have to do that to negate the fact that, they actually did do something for TNA, but we can't focus on that. Okay, I just figured it out, though. There's your 6. If you say an Ultimate X is 6 people, all 3 members of the Rascals, plus Frazier, Axiom, and Javon Evans.
There you go. Perfect.
I don't think they're going to do it. I think it's going to be a long time before you build to them doing something like Ultimate X, but it's got to be in the
as much
as
you want it. I don't see it coming for a while. I don't know that I see it coming to Mania. I could see it coming to Stand and Deliver, like that kind of Mania weekend.
I said WrestleMania because the postings Jordan Grace has put up has been specifically like more than once. Doesn't Ultimate X sound like a thing that would be at WrestleMania?
Think about Money at the Bank. It's kind of like the same idea in a way.
You took the words right out of my mouth. It fills the gap from Money in the Bank. Wouldn't you fuck up the Money in the Bank pay-per-view if you threw an Ultimate X match in the middle?
Yeah, no kidding, but
just all ladders. Actually, no, not ladders, because you don't use ladders in an Ultimate X match. Never mind. It's very, very, very tired in here. Past the Rascals thing,
Past the Rascals is
the Giulia debut, because
I think we're on the same wavelength for you and I there. I think we know what's up, and she's going to be something special.
I think we're on the same wavelength for opposite reasons, though, because I think you're way more familiar with her than I am.
A great deal, but
whenever she debuts in NXT, whether we do, like we said, a little thing with Chelsea, or whether it just goes straight to the match on the CW debut with Roxanne Perez, whenever she has her first match in NXT, that's going to be the first match I see her in.
Okay.
So I'm looking
forward to the debut, literally.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to the debut as in a form of a return. And I actually went and got to know her more because of everything that happened recently. Like, I had to go ahead and go back and be like, oh, all right, let's let's figure this out. Let's see what happens here. Let's go ahead and let's make this work now. You know,
and
like
it's not like under false pretense where it's like, oh my God, I know she's gonna be great. It's like, for me, it's like, okay, it's a brand new person. Let's see how this brand new person does.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there is the simplest, like, before I was like going to Destiny and checking out a couple other indie things, I used to have the terrible mindset of, if they're good, they'll end up in WWE one day, which was a shitty mindset to have. But at the same time, every time somebody from the indies that was really popular, really well known in the indies, got to the WWE, got to the main roster, etc., everybody that loved them already was like, oh, they're here now. Okay, cool. Me, in that moment, I got a brand new person to cheer for.
Yeah.
And I think there was a little bit of that people who followed them through the indies don't have. Not because it's not important, not because, you should be a fan of somebody whenever you're a fan of somebody, but like everybody else already knew all about, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, all these types of things, Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
Jacob Fatu's brand fucking new. The way he's burst out on SmackDown, he's brand new to me. And I think there is a benefit to that for me because he's new. And a new person on your show that you watch should feel new, or the way that they're presenting him as a new person doesn't jive. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. No, that works.
Because if he's not new to you and they're saying, oh my God, here's this brand new guy, and you're like, no, he's not. Like, there's that little bit of your brain that does that. And it's like, are they brand new to wrestling? No. But you got to go with the story you're watching. Oh, the story doesn't make any sense. He's not new. He's been wrestling for 10 years. Okay, WWE story. The bell just rang. He's been in here approximately 3 seconds.
What story are you trying to tell? What are you hoping to get?
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie. I'm biased. I want to see what Punk does in Chicago. I'm kind of more curious.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't at this point?
I'm kind of more curious, like, as much as the Punker is going to be on the first show in Chicago, going head-to-head with AEW. It's going to be fucking awesome. I'm more curious.
And all people to do it.
Yeah. And of all people to do it, but it makes sense, not in the anti-AEW way, but it makes sense because they are in Chicago and Punk is already sort of intrinsically involved with NXT. But it makes me more curious what they do the second week, because the second week it's Randy Orton. What does Randy Orton look like in NXT? We've never had Randy Orton in NXT. So I think his is just going to be a smile and wave and thanks for coming to the show. He's more
the X factor, and we'll talk about that after week 1, of course. Yeah. But
the plan at this point is when we get to the CW debut, you and I are going to preview and review them in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely, we are not going to miss those.
Anyways, we've been going for quite a while, and
Absolutely.
I'm losing my voice, and I got to piss, quite frankly. So, Jake, tell them where to find you.
You can find me on the Joe Cronin Show, and you can find me on your channel, my good man, or on Twitter at Countdown Ended. No updates yet.
Okay.
We're still
I can't
going.
even do the can you tweet yet. The real long-term storytelling, as always, is Jake DeMarco versus Elon Musk.
Absolutely.
And you guys know where to find me or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. This has been Jake. This has been a very extended version of the State of Wrestling. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But right now, I am tagging out.